Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Tim's News Explosion. We are live, as always, on the WilmsFront channels, as well as on the interactive entropy software, which I've put the link into the live chat. Hello to everyone there. It is Monday, the 20th of September, 2021. It is 9 p.m. here in Melbourne, Victoria. The reason for the extra half-hour late start is because I was watching Sherry Marson's documentary, What Really Happened in Wuhan. I'll talk about that another time. So here by mid-October, we're going to have 1,500 to 3,000 cases per day, and there's going to be thousands of deaths by the end of the year. Their director, Brendan Crabtree, still thinks that we can eliminate COVID. I'm not really surprised that Dan went for the institute that provided the most doomsday COVID modeling. Though, with all the rage over Dan's roadmap, I knew it was going to be shit, and I had low expectations based on Dan's slow 2020 roadmap. So I myself felt no rage at all. As if Dan was going to let things go back to 2019 normal. I mean, Gladys Berejiklian up in New South Wales is certainly not going to go back to normal there. But of course, don't get me wrong. This doesn't mean I'm happy about the roadmap at all. I think we should be open right now, as it has been proven delusional folly for anyone to think the virus can be eliminated. I mean, here in Victoria, we've had 6 brutal lockdowns, and the virus has kept coming back in like a boomerang. Nations like Sweden and Denmark and US states like Florida and Texas have shown, despite some short-term pain, living life with the virus is the only option. I won't bore you with the details of Dan's roadmap. I mean, this is basically it here. We aren't formally open until 80% of the eligible population is double vaccinated. Until then, we go through various easing of lockdown. So we're sort of in, lockdown medium at the moment, and then we move to late October lockdown light. The reason why I call that still lockdown, because you're still not permitted to have people at your home, and you still have to wear masks outdoors, even though there hasn't been a single case of proven outdoor transmission throughout Australia during the pandemic. Though the difference between Dan's roadmap of 2020 and Dan's roadmap of 2021, I mean, they arrived to the same sort of restrictions by Christmas, though a possible difference by the end of this year is that you might finally be able to leave this prison island with the international travel ban being lifted and go to one of those free nations or states that I just mentioned. If international travel opens up, expect a lot of one-way tickets being purchased and a brain drain from Australia to begin. I don't think tourists will start to re-flock here. They come here to go into a quarantine camp for 7 to 14 days and then have to QR code everywhere and be tested and be jabbed maybe 2 or 3 times. 2021, I think has proven for Australians that no matter where you live, which state, you will still be locked down at any moment for an extended period of time. There are QR check-ins and mask requirements everywhere. So those people who fled from Victoria after 2020. I mean, I myself was considering going to regional New South Wales in 2021 to get away from Victoria, but I would have been locked down anyway, as the year has panned out, and would have been under the brute force lockdown of the New South Wales Police Commissioner up there, Mick Fuller, who I call the T1000 Terminator. But obviously, the thing that's enraged people even more about well, not just Dan but Gladys's 2021 roadmap to freedom is that it'll only apply to the fully vaccinated. As well, Dan said that the unvaccinated will be locked out of a lot of venues, which wasn't the case last year. And so we have the two-tier reopening plan as part of Dan's roadmap. And part of it's not just vaccine passports, but also vaccine mandates for many industries, including the construction industry. By this Friday, Dan announced last week that construction workers will have needed to have their first jab, otherwise they can't work. So we saw angry brawls break outside the CFMEU Victorian offices today, with construction workers angry at their State Secretary John Setka's lack of pushback against mandatory vaccination of construction workers. By Friday, the police riot squad were called in later today, and I have breaking news tonight that the Andrews government, in response, is going to shut down the construction industry for 2 weeks. There was already the smoko break street protest on Friday morning in response to not just the mandatory jab announcement, but also the closure of construction site tea rooms, because Dan Andrews and his health officials for the past few weeks have been listing the COVID outbreaks linked to construction sites, the lack of compliance to COVID safe plans occurring, and hinted that stronger enforcement was coming. Given the CFMEU has donated millions to the Labor Party, the Andrews government has been very timid to shut it down like Gladys did in Sydney in late July. It is currently operating at 25% capacity. The Age published this article last week that building site inspections found a 73% breach of COVID safe rules, where the industry average is apparently 19. And if we go further down here, Phil Dwyer, a builder and national president of the Builders Collective, a lobby group for small and medium-sized construction companies, he commended the state's government's mandatory vaccination decision. And he said, many in the industry don't take COVID-19 seriously enough. Unless it directly affects these blokes on building sites, they just take the attitude of, she'll be right. Half of them don't want to get vaccinated. The talk is generally that nothing has been proven. He said building workers needed to be vaccinated as much for their own safety as for the wider community. They'll become among the most vulnerable. Let's face it, in the building industry, a hell of a lot of people are overweight and have poor diets, but Mr. Dwyer predicted the mandatory vaccine direction would make little difference. No one will check in. While it might be mandatory, how will they police it? They won't. And that's probably not just going to be true for the construction industry, but vaccine passports generally. I mean, it's the onus is going to be on pubs, restaurants, venues to enforce it. And there's going to be, obviously, there has been a lot of, you would say, confrontations over enforcement of QR codes and masks already, and vaccine passports is just another layer of that businesses have to deal with in trying to comply with the government mandate, so they don't get shut down as well. Now, I'll come back to the CFMEU office protest later in the show, but let's talk about the latest worldwide freedom rallies that, as the name suggested, were held worldwide on Saturday, the 18th of September. And the rally that was held in Melbourne. Now, Victoria Police, it seems that they obviously didn't like that the New South Wales Police were outdoing them with the brute force lockdown enforcement. And so on Saturday, the Victoria Police created another day of global shame for our state and nation. Now, the Police Commissioner, Shane Patton, he had said that between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. that Victoria Police had ordered the public transport network to shut down around the CBD. They were stopping all vehicles, incoming traffic to the Melbourne CBD area, because that's where originally the Melbourne Freedom Rally was going to be held. But the organisers at the last minute outsmarted the Victoria Police and moved their rally to the inner Melbourne suburb of Richmond, which is outside the exclusion zone. And so Victoria Police had announced in advance that they were going to be moving all of their resources to the CBD. And so suddenly had to dash off over to Richmond. But that them scrambling to get over to Richmond certainly didn't stop them brutally suppressing the fanatic protesters who turned up, and no one was immune from Victoria Police's brute force, including this elderly lady who got knocked down and pepper sprayed.
It gave police time to arrest as many
Sorry, that's not the one.
The violence. Watch out, they're running. Running.
What's he done? Look at him.
Is that Avi's cameraman?
So that was the footage and the image, which has had several captions to it. The defenseless elderly lady being pepper sprayed on the ground by two Victoria Police officers. It has the Victoria Police logo there, the COVID vaccination in the state of Victoria there. This went around the world and once again showed just how much of a prison island, tyrannical place Australia has become. And as there was also other instances of Victoria Police throwing punches at protesters.
Gave police time to arrest as many protesters as they could. Numbers on the ground ensuring that anyone.
And there was also at the in between the Victoria State Bridge in between Richmond and Hawthorn, the Victoria Police tried to kettle the protesters in both directions, but one police line was thinner than the other, and so this is what happened. Now, it's come to light from the Police Association that during the police officers that were deployed to the Freedom Rally in Richmond, 50 of those were rookie Victoria police officers who had just graduated from the academy that week, and that was their first assignment there. I'm not sure if the two police officers who knocked down the elderly lady and pepper sprayed her, it was their first week on the job. I don't know. I think there's been a few attempts to identify the main officer who knocked her down and pepper sprayed her, but according to the mainstream media, that police officer is not the correct one. There's still no word on the welfare of this elderly lady. There were rumors that she had died. She hasn't come forward to give a statement or an interview. Now, even members of both the independent media and the mainstream media were not safe from Victoria Police. There was, in addition to Rukshan Fernando, who has been live streaming both the CFMEU protests and the freedom rallies, he was pepper sprayed by Victoria Police, and so was an Age photographer. And the editor of the Age, Gay Alcorn, is going to be making an official complaint to Victoria Police. And there is going to be a police professional standards investigation into the officer who knocked over and capsicum sprayed the elderly lady. We will see where that goes. But given that police professional standards last year cleared the police officers who used force against that man having a mental health episode during the 2020 lockdown. One ran over him with a police car, one stomped on his head. They were cleared. Apparently that was reasonable force, according to Victoria Police professional standards. Now, obviously, Victoria Police, their shameful, their behaviour was shameful on Saturday, but at least we should take as maybe a consolation that they're not arresting and choking people outside for not wearing masks like they did last year. We had the Police Association boss, Wayne Gatt, say on 3AW last week, said he urges Melburnians to do the right thing when meeting friends in public. From tomorrow, admitting police won't be swarming parks and other public areas to ensure people are complying with COVID rules. Good. Some common sense there. So Wayne Gatt said, let's be realistic. Our members won't be roaming parks, checking to see if you're double vaxxed or drinking Diet Coke. Yes, because Dan is keeping both the curfew and also you can't remove your mask to drink alcohol outside rule until we reach. He's getting rid of the curfew until we reach 70% double dosed, and you can't remove your mask to drink alcohol until 80% double dose there. So Wayne Gatt said, we just don't have the people to do that. It really falls back to voluntary compliance like masks. He said police would have their hands full trying to diffuse a planned anti-lockdown protest. So yeah, Shane Patton's own words, he said the protest was the main game in town, and they've been basically pooling all of their resources, Victoria Police, in targeting the anti-lockdown protests. I will make the point again that it was interesting in the lead up to this anti-lockdown protest. We saw Shane Patton, the police commissioner, front the media. We haven't seen the assistant commissioner, Luke Cornelius, aka Chief Wiggum, aka Fat Bastard, front any press conferences of late. He was the one who fronted the press conferences in the lead up to September 5, 2020 Freedom Day, when he called the protesters batshit crazy tinfoil hat brigade. We can only assume that he's fallen out of favor with the police leadership, or that he's had a blood clot from the vaccine. those are the only two assumptions that I can think of there. Now, let's go back to the CFMEU office protest today. Now, one of the people who captured footage from the independent media, Real Rukshan, was there again today. He streamed for 5.5 hours. That's an incredible effort without a toilet break. And Avi Yemeni was there for Rebel News. But Andy Nolch, who has appeared on WilmsFront and also has had content published on The Unshackled, including this article last night about his theory that Victoria Police sacrificed their rookie officers so they could get this footage here. I'll just play Andy's initial report, and then I'll bring him in.
Alright, they're unleashing now, they're unleashing weapons and shit. They're shooting people and stuff. Shit. And they're setting off stuff. But they set off these smoke bomb thingos that hurt when you breathe them in. So they're like a different version of pepper spray, but they're also shooting people and shit. I mean, with the rubber bullet stuff. So this is hectic. Actually, this is more aggressive than other times. They just keep on getting worse, Victoria Police, the shit that they're doing. They can abuse us, but we can't, if people want to. I mean, people can't have a fight between the pro-union people and the anti-union people. Like, you know, those two groups can't fight, but they can fight us and just abuse us. Like, it's just completely ridiculous. But again, that was them being aggressive again. They assaulted us again.
You guys are destroying this state forever.
Oh, wow.
So we're joined by, as I mentioned, Andy, and we've also got here as well Senator Slayer Neil Erickson, which apparently, what is it? It was not construction workers and union members who were there today, according to the ACTU. The people who attacked the union office it was orchestrated by violent right-wing extremists and anti-vaccination activists, and this is what the CFMEU national leadership said, condemns far-right extremist violence.
Yeah, that was pretty epic to see that statement. It's just ridiculous. It was construction workers. It was people who are upset that they were being forced to get a jab, and also people who are upset about all the COVID rules. They even thought about one of the COVID. You probably know this, Tim, but this is interesting. They even thought about putting in a rule that they can't drink water or something.
Yeah, I did hear about that as well.
How could you even float that as an idea? Like what? Well, but I mean, obviously they'll be allowed to take their water bottles, right? Maybe they're talking about a shared drinking fountain or something like that.
Well, even so, like if you're working outdoors 6, 8, 12 hours a day, like you might run out of water, and like this is one of the things I heard.
Yeah, exactly. It's unreasonable.
When children returned to school late last year, when it was nearly summer, they shut down all the school drinking fountains because they aren't COVID safe. So what is it? children, like they were parched all the time.
They did that, did they, at the schools?
That's what I heard, yes, from some mothers.
So they were what? They were probably made to bring their own water bottle or something. And I remember as a kid in primary school, those water fountains in summer were like used heaps.
Yeah, I remember as well.
Yeah, those ones, and one of them would be dodging. It would shoot water like up into your mouth.
Do you remember the episode of Degrassi High? I don't know how old you guys are, but they had a water fountain, and one of their students had AIDS, and it was a big controversy in the show, sharing a water fountain with some dude with AIDS.
I just got to get a charger. Sorry, hold on.
Senator Slayer, somebody said to me tonight about how apparently it was far-right extremists and neo-Nazis who, organized the riot outside the CFMEU offices. Somebody said, oh, wow, Thomas Sewell organized all that from jail?
Well, that's why I'm on tonight. I'm a representative for the far-right neo-Nazi extremist community. And yes, Tom Sewell did organise it from prison. All over the phone too. So everyone's still operating, still undermining protests. And yes, Sewell did a great job. I don't know if you've seen it, but a lot of them so-called workers were actually covering their swastikas. You could see it in a couple of scenes in the footage. But yeah, I knew about probably 80% of them. They're all neo-Nazi members. That's correct.
When I saw them,
we should say that you're being sarcastic there.
No, I'm not being sarcastic. No. 100%.
Well, I was a kid before the media made the statement, and I saw all these people doing dick hire. I was like, "What's going on? Maybe these guys are Nazis." And then the media said it, and I was like, "I knew it."
All right, let's have a look at some actual footage from there to determine whether they're neo-Nazi far-right extremists or actually union members.
How much money you taking? What are you going to do about the vaccine? You're a fucking sellout, Tom. You're a fucking sellout. Not the union. You are a sellout. Not the union. You are a sellout.
Don't put your head up. No. I'm on the same side. You know me, bro. I'm not
Fuck you, you fucking weasel! You fucking scum! Oi, get the fuck over there!
You know where I stand. You saw me at the rally. So where I can keep working with terrorist people. Shut it down. So you want us to shut the whole building? I agree.
Now, it actually begun the protests in the morning, but the police riot squad didn't turn up until mid-afternoon. So it'd been going for several hours, and I can only assume that Vic Pol were at first timid because, well, it wasn't a crowd full of elderly ladies who they could bowl over. It was these big, gruff construction workers. And, well, Dan's timid about the CFMEU because, well, as I mentioned, they've given Dan over $1 million in donations. And I noticed Dan at his press conference today, he didn't put on his, angry face. He was just sort of like, oh, why are they complaining when they can work?
Yeah, that's one of the first things I noticed was when I saw the footage from the protest was that it was a lot of tough guys. That was the first thing I noticed. And I don't know, maybe they were a bit embarrassed about what happened with the old lady on Saturday, and they just decided to stand back a bit. But their timing was absolutely perfect. Like, they definitely came in to save the day and stop the front of the shop from getting damaged, the front of the place from getting damaged. So their timing was absolutely perfect, and they were definitely vital and needed there because, maybe the window would have got even more damaged.
I know that at the Melbourne Freedom Rally, they put out a flyer that they want everyone to go back to the CFMEU office tomorrow morning, which I guess feeds into this union conspiracy that the protests were led by right-wing extremists and anti-vaxxers. I actually have another theory about the reason why these protests got so wild. Somebody else actually infiltrated them. Do you want to know my theory?
Yeah, I really want to hear.
Well, you know how the French, they're all pissed off that we cancelled their submarine deal in favor for the US. Yeah, they recalled their ambassador and everything. And the scenes today in Melbourne, they looked very similar to the French anti-vaccine passport mandate protests. So I reckon there were French agents in that crowd there trying to cause French-like riots here in Melbourne.
You're right. These protests started like around about the same time as this news about the submarine thing. So it's a way to like squash the submarine thing or something. Or maybe our own government did it as a way to try and distract from the submarine issue because they just wasted billions or whatever, and it's completely ridiculous what Scott Morrison did.
I have no proof of this theory. I'm just, if the union movement is thinking about these sort of conspiracy theories that it's far-right extremists, neo-Nazis, anti-vax, QAnon people outside the CFMEU offices, then I'm going to throw out a wild conspiracy theory about the protests.
Yeah, Tim, you're a bit wrong there. I think it's more like the reptilians, shapeshifters, because a lot of them protesters, if you look closely, you can tell their eyes are shaped like cat eyes. If you pause in a couple of frames, you can actually see
it. Like they look like tattoos, but that's actually the lizard skin that's coming out.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see it looks like the quality of the video is kind of getting a bit grainy, but that's just when they morph into the human form. It actually sabotages the video footage to kind of conceal their true identity. What do you reckon, Nolch? You're against reptilians?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm sure it's not just workers standing up for their rights of just being able to do what the fuck they want. I'm sure it's not that.
Obviously, we're being absurd, but who's the conspiracy theorist now? Is it us, or is it because this is basically the left or the Labor Party? Their new constituent is these inner city elites who all have these cushy work from home jobs, and they've completely left behind their working class people. And so today was basically a literal clash of their base of old and their base of new.
I think the biggest thing about this is because what happened today is actually kind of massive, yeah, because the left have had control of the unions for a long time, and now the left are basically system pigs. They do whatever the government says. You look at them on Twitter, like massive left-wing activists supporting the mandates. But this brings out an argument that the government doesn't want people knowing. And I found this out during the court appearances and court cases, such as Andy Nolch would have in his case, in Blair's case. There is no freedom of speech in Australia. There is no freedom to protest in Australia. We are not living in a liberal democracy as they claim. And what we are seeing over the last few months is people are, hang on, well, that's free speech. No, you can't do that. Hang on, I thought we had free speech. And then they're like, well, if this is a liberal democracy, I can protest. Irrelevant of medical mandates or safety mandates, you should be able to protest in a liberal democracy legally anywhere. And I'm just amazed that like 3AW, Channel 7 News, Channel 9, all the mainstream media outlets saying they are breaking the law by protesting. That is a fundamental right under a liberal democracy. So I think what the biggest thing that's happening out of all of this is people or normies are waking up to, hang on, we don't live in a free country. And I know it sounds simple to say that, but a lot of people don't know. And when I was going through my case with the church and the Federation Square, when I said that thing about Muhammad, everyone I spoke to, lawyers, these are trained lawyers. Yeah, but it's free speech. We don't have a Bill of Rights in this country. And this is the fundamental point that I think people are starting to realise. We don't live in a free society. This is not a liberal democracy. This is something crazy that for Daniel Andrews, going back to what happened today, Daniel Andrews has shut down the building industry for 2 weeks in response to this protest. So this has nothing, on face value, this has nothing to do with safety concerns. It's a punishment for resisting tyranny.
That's so right. And that's what Daniel Andrews does. He does these punishment things. He's such a prick. Like when some people broke the rules for drinking on the streets, alcohol or something.
Yeah, and there was 0 cases linked to that Richmond pub crawl. He was just, and this is the sort of thing that it's these lockdowns. They're more about just communicating a message that this is super serious, and if it looks like you're having fun, if you're not miserable and staying at home, then you're not taking the virus seriously. Even though, as I keep saying, there's been no proven case of outdoor transmission in Australia, especially not at the beach. I mean, whereas the Bondi Beach clusters.
Yeah, and look, I'm certain that Dan Andrews, like what he did on Saturday, today it wasn't anywhere near as much, but what he did on Saturday by sending that incredible number of officers, they were getting moved around on buses, moved around on cars, they were standing next to each other. Like, if there really was a dangerous bug out there, I don't think that he would put his officers' lives at risk. And just the way Dan Andrews talks when he mentions things and stuff, I think they know the truth about the bug. I think they know that it's damn well exaggerated how dangerous it is.
What is it, Neil? You said that, like we actually don't have many rights in Australia. So you essentially agree with Anxious Aussie that we have no rights. But her response to that is like, oh, if you try to advocate for your rights, then you're just going to lose more rights. And so she'd probably be saying for night C, how stupid it was for you workers to campaign against the jab. Now you're not going to be working for 2 weeks.
Well, that's the argument there. That's a retarded argument. You have to test it. This is the thing. You have to wake people up through propaganda. Now, I always say to people, what happens if we have to have the mandated, I won't say the word, but the mandated jab? What if we have to have it to go shopping? And I said, all it would take is 1 or 2 mums going to buy food for their kids at the supermarket, yeah? And you watch the police drag that woman to the ground and arrest her in front of her kids trying to buy food. Now, you have to test it. You have to push them to do that. If you don't do that, it's just a slow kill. Eventually, we'll just be.
Why this seems like these vaccine passport threats. I mean, Dan Andrews already talking about booster passports. As we saw in the UK, it was just an empty threat. I played last week. The Health Secretary Sajid Divad said that. We looked at the evidence, medical evidence for vaccine passports, and there's no medical evidence for it, and we don't want to live in a papers please society. And a couple of Israeli ministers were caught on a hot mic saying that there's actually no medical scientific evidence for or justification for vaccine passports. It's just to use it as a stick to get more people vaxxed.
Well, we all know the Israelis were behind 9/11, so I don't trust anything they say. But at the end of the day, this needs to be. It's bigger than the pandemic. It's bigger than all this stuff. This is more about Australians' rights, freedom of rights. You go to America, they're shocked. They can't believe it. You watch Tim Pool and Steve Bannon. You watch their reaction to Australia. They absolutely can't believe what's happening here. And I think we've been conditioned to believe that this is normal. It's not normal for a liberal democracy. And I keep going to that because this is what they claim we live under. We do not live under a liberal democracy. Any protest should be legal. It doesn't matter what mandates you put in, it should be legal. There's no such thing as an unlawful protest, unless obviously you're inciting violence or for anyone to meet up in a general location.
Political
protest should be legal.
You say that you're inciting people to break health orders, and what is that? You get your door broken down, as had happened last year with these incitement charges.
Well, what was the most powerful piece of propaganda from our side in the past 2 years? Think about it. What was the most powerful vision we've seen online for the past 2 years? And I reckon it would be that pregnant woman getting handcuffed in her home.
Yeah, that was pretty big.
We need more of that. And I'm not inciting people to do anything, but I'm just saying if the country can see what happens to people in those circumstances, and it's going to come, people have got cameras.
Yeah, well, that's why that bridge situation, which I was putting forth the conspiracy theory that they intentionally put a weak line up so that then they could get smashed and show footage of cops getting hit. It backfired on them because then one of the freaking coppers kicked the woman when she was down on the ground. And that was great because now that's another big one. I feel like that's the new version of the pregnant woman getting handcuffed.
And what is it? Obviously the police misconduct is pretty bad, but then there's still people in Australia who are saying, that that woman, got what was coming to her, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and probably wishing that the police would have punched and kicked all of them harder. I mean, remember last year they were all saying ACAB and that the police were racist. I reckon that if, say, there was an Aboriginal man at an anti-lockdown protest and the police beat him up, the left would cheer that on. They wouldn't care about his race then, but because he was an anti-lockdown protester. I mean, they cheered on Rukshan Fernando getting pepper sprayed, even though he's a immigrant, a person of color.
Yeah, they turn on. It's like if they've got a woman who's being a strong leader and a proper feminist, they'll turn on her if she's right wing, and they'll
like Rose McGowan.
Well, Rose McGowan was a massive supporter of Andy Nolch, myself, and Blair Cottrell, so that's why they hate her.
So what happened with Rose McGowan? I'm not up with what happened with her recently.
She actually supported your protest you did at the Princess Park. Do you remember?
What? Yes, that's when she said, she goes, I like your artwork and stuff.
Hi, Andy Nolch. Thank you for going to Eurydice's Memorial. I've seen your paintings and think they're great. Keep doing unique art. Go you. Hopefully you, Erickson, and Blair can have another meetup in St. Kilda soon. I hope you have a great, great day.
But
Hi, Andy Nolch.
Note, she has abandoned the progressive left and Democratic Party since she made that video. She supported the Republican candidate in the California recall election, Larry Elder.
Hold on a second. Is this the white supremacist?
Yeah, black white supremacist.
We shouldn't be giving him a platform. We shouldn't even mention his name.
Yeah, and there was this, there was this white liberal woman who tried to egg him in a gorilla mask with a pink wig on.
Well, Brenton Tarrant claimed in his manifesto that Candace Owens made him extreme. She radicalised him. So what is this a new black face of white nationalism? Are they the real kind of threat?
Well, yeah, they're apparently there is this thing of black white supremacists. I mean, there was Clayton Bigsby from that Frontline program in the US. Remember, it was a segment on Chappelle's show.
Yeah, and sadly he broke up with his wife because she was a chocolate lover. But yeah. that was a good documentary.
But
I want to. By the way, I want to promote the event. That's why I'm wearing this fluoro
no, you're
top.
not allowed to promote any
okay.
orders.
Yeah, be very careful. Be very careful.
Yeah. But I'll go back to the California recall election. Gavin Newsom, aka Gruesome Newsom, the Democrat governor, was easily defeated the recall. It was nearly 2-1. So California is definitely a one-party state now. In California, they had the Emmy Awards today, which, like the Met Ball, all the stars are maskless, but all the peasant servant class, they're all masked up. And there's another election tomorrow in Canadianistan, also known as Cold Australia, where Prime Minister Blackface Justin Trudeau he called a snap election because he thought that he could get a majority in this election because of his superior handling of the COVID pandemic, but it looks like it could be another hung parliament. He is the main opposition party is the fake Conservative Party. Then there's the far left New Democratic Party, and then there's what you'd call it the genuine Freedom Party, the Canadian People's Party.
I don't have much to say about that. Sorry.
Right?
I don't have much to say about that. Sorry.
Well, what is it? It's important because what is it? Justin is basically like the Canadian Dan. I mean, in favor of vaccine passports, hates anti-lockdown protesters. I mean, the Canadian police during their last winter, they were appalling. And what is it? They kept arresting rebel news reporters up there. It was terrible.
Hey, so why does Dan Andrews have like googly eyes and shit? And his ears are like pointy and he's got like a hunchback. Do you reckon he's like some sort of reptilian or something, Notch?
He does have a bit of that look. He looks like an ogre.
Something's not right. I think maybe, like on Men in Black, when that dude squeezed into that human body and he was like all spastic looking.
Yeah, that's what he looks like, yeah.
Yeah, I reckon he could be some form of extraterrestrial being, like with nefarious motivations.
Yeah, well, I'm about to post something on a BitChute that I filmed at the protest, and it shows this this short woman with a loudspeaker getting right in the cops' faces and telling them the truth about the situation. So that'll be in my video, but it's pretty good and it's pretty deep stuff she says, because it's pretty messed up because these guys are just puppets of Dan Andrews and the communist world government, the United Nations, the whole New World Order. And they're enabling the abuser. So the abuser are these communists at the top, but they're enabling it. And it's just outrageous,
Yeah, they're gaslighting us. Yeah. But getting back to Andrews, mate, I reckon they've been plotting this for a few years now. As you would remember back in 2015 when they started arming the police with rifles. Do you remember? AR-15s, rubber bullets. I think they've had this on the horizon for some time now. We'll just see what happens with the injections because I'm telling you, in a few years, we might be the only ones left, Notch. Tim might be deceased. Or gay.
The vaccines make people gay. Like I've had like one jab now, so what does that make me bisexual?
I don't know, Tim. You're going to have to look within yourself.
You have to go double jab to go all the way across. No, but isn't it that the jabs turn you transsexual?
Yeah, Tim. Do you feel like you're turning gay since your jab?
No more so than usual.
Do you feel like you need to have a meat injection after your vaccine?
A what injection?
A meat injection?
Meat injection? What's a meat injection?
Like that's what gays do.
You're not getting it.
I think maybe you're starting to sound a little camp now, Tim. I think maybe that vaccine did something to you. Didn't you tell me you had sore bones and a weird rash?
Oh, it was probably all in my head.
Didn't you have a what is it called, didn't you like go into a seizure or something a day after? Didn't you tell me that?
No, I didn't tell you that.
Well,
You sure?
I heard of another side effect today, and a friend of Warwick Capper, the famous AFL footy player / comedian, his friend got a stroke from the jab, and Warwick was pretty upset about it. So yeah, it's happening, but we've got to resist it. This is really good because this whole thing that's going on with the construction industry, if they succeed, then it really helps all the other industries, and it scares other industries from passing similar laws, So I think that everyone needs to, support the construction industry, even if they're not in it.
Well, we'll see what happens, starting tomorrow and the rest of the week, because, there's a reason why Dan has been timid with the construction industry. And for anyone who actually has encountered tradies, construction people, they're very gruff men, and they don't take shit from nobody.
Yeah, and what's annoying about actually what happened today is that, I mean, it was cool, but I think we need to direct it towards the real culprit, because it seems like John Setka was forced into the situation by Dan Andrews and the government. What do you think?
Well, he's got his, balls in a vice grip, and by extension, Dan's balls are in a vice grip at the moment. I mean, this is the greatest crisis the Labor left has ever faced in Victoria.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not. I mean, I don't think. I think Dan's causing this all. You know what I mean?
They kicked Setka out of the Labor Party because of the domestic abuse allegations.
He actually claimed today that he's never ever met Daniel Andrews, which I find very hard to believe.
I think that's for me. I don't think Dan would want a face-to-face meeting.
What's the Liberals doing bringing Matthew Guy back? He's a failed politician.
Who knows?
Do they actually want to win an election in Melbourne, or?
Well,
I think
we're not on the road to California with and become a one-party state, because I think that's the first guy Matthew Guy said. First thing he said when he came back to leadership, Victoria is not a one-party state. Well, I hope that's true.
Well, he should have won against Andrews during that election with Apex. I think they're terrible.
No, the Victorian Liberals, they concluded that the Apex campaign made them lose.
No, they didn't even have a campaign. They didn't even mention it. They hardly mentioned it. How is that a campaign that lost? They hardly mentioned the crime gang in Victoria at all. I was following that election, obviously from the outside and from within. There was no mention, barely, of the African gang crisis at all.
Somebody mentioned in the comments, what's Melbourne's crime been like with Victoria Police focusing on the anti-lockdown protests? Well, apparently our safe city ranking has gone up because everyone's locked down, and of course we know that criminals obey all the lockdowns and they listen to everything Dan Andrews says.
Well, the cops are probably busy enforcing COVID mask rules instead of catching crims, so it appears in the statistics that Melbourne doesn't have many crimes happening,
They did make sure. Remember, there was what happened to that African guy who went crazy at one of Dan's press conferences, and the PSOs crash tackled him, and he had to go to hospital.
He died. He ended up dying in hospital.
No way.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
No way.
Let's say was his last words,
he broke a leg or something.
Was his last words, "I can't breathe"?
Yeah, he said, "Get my fentanyl." I think that was his last words. No, but all jokes aside, he did pass away. He had
No
internal
way.
bleeding. Yeah.
Because he had a broken. I remember hearing. I think they said he had a broken leg, and I thought, how the fuck did they break his leg?
Yeah, from what I heard, Andrew's goons put him in hospital, and then he passed away a week later. That's what I heard.
It's almost like this old lady on Victoria Street or whatever in Richmond. It's like there's
rumors that she's passed as well. Okay, we should probably wrap it up now because Tim's News Explosion is only supposed to go for half an hour, and it's nearly gone in an hour.
I was actually getting into Nolchi's analysis of the day's events, but okay, Tim, we can wind it up.
Yeah.
Well, there's not much more I have to say. I mean, it's just I arrived after the footage of the place getting trashed, and so it was just it was interesting. So yeah, that's all I have to say. But I mean, I think things are. I'm really positive.
There'll probably be like the riot squad. Yeah, the riot squad will be there, like from like dawn tomorrow outside the CFMEU offices.
I think as well. And this is just anyway. I reckon this is great. This is like because I think they want us to do what we were sort of doing last year during the second lockdown, where really the protest movement was like just 80 people, and so I think that we can really send a message to the world. I think that we're like there's like a big world war going on, and we're like one of the key battlegrounds of the war.
Hey, Tim, since your vaccine, have you purchased any Kylie Minogue or Madonna albums?
I've already got all their albums. There's no
see? I told you.
All right. Thanks, Nolchi. Thanks, Senator Slayer, for providing your extra analysis. We'll grab the popcorn to see what happens for the rest of the week, and we'll also see in the next 24 hours whether Trudeau is going to get re-elected. That'll be interesting to watch. And also, what is it? Oh, we also forgot to mention the new white supremacist, Nicki Minaj. You heard about, so Nicki Minaj, she's not taking the vaccine because her cousin took the vaccine and got bloated balls and became...
No. Tim, come on. Is this a new show or what? Her cousin's friend. Come on, you got to be factual.
Cousin's friend. Yeah, got bloated balls and became impotent apparently because of the vaccine, and so Nicki Minaj is not getting it. Maybe she's also concerned that the vaccine could cause ass deflation because now her cousin's friend doesn't have an anaconda, and then she's probably worried that she's not going to have buns, and so another guy's anaconda won't want none.
I think he actually turned gay. That's why the marriage was called off. That's what I heard.
Oh, it might be that, yeah.
All right. Good night, everybody.
See ya, bro.
See ya.
I'll see you on Thursday for WilmsFront and then Friday for Trad Tasman Talk.
Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News